So my name is Ekta Bajaj, and I'm the author of the book, The Voice of Kali. This is the book. And I'm here to speak to you about the essence of Kali and how we can use this energy to initiate our own inner warrior, to bring inner transformation in our life. In this workshop, I've tried to divide it in three parts so it doesn't get very overwhelming, because the energy of Kali is very powerful, and towards the end of the hour you might feel a little shift within yourself and your emotions. And if you do so, in fact, it's good, because that just means that you have been able to tap into the energy of Kali. So if you feel that shift, don't be alarmed about it. So in the first part, I'm going to talk to you about the essence of Kali and my own experience, my own very personal vision with Kali and what initiated me into this journey. Then we're going to talk about why is Kali the energy we need to invoke to bring inner transformation in our life. And then the last part, we're going to talk about the steps we need to take to invoke our own inner warrior. So starting with the essence of Kali, I want to start by reading a very small extract from this book, The Voice of Kali, so that you just get an idea about what this energy of Kali is all about. Kali is our inner voice, the truth within us. She brings forth what's authentic and banishes the fake. She dwells in passion and inspires us to work towards a better life with vigor. She manifests as energy and guides us to eliminate the darkness within us and around us. Kali is a force, a light that takes birth in our darkest time. Kali, as I said before, is an energy that's often very much misunderstood. She's often seen as someone who's very terrifying, very feisty. And this is something that even I thought as well. I mean, looking at why I'm talking and how I'm talking about Kali, and because I've written a book, The Voice of Kali, you may be thinking that I have lived a larger part of my life embracing this energy. But in reality, a major part of my life was lived in denial of Kali, in ignorance of what this energy really is all about. And it's only 5 years back, when I embraced Kali in my life, I experienced complete transformation. There was a complete U-turn in everything that was going within me and around me. There were these portals of untapped, abundant creative energy that flew me and over me and helped me start my business, my relationship. Everything worked, and that's when I started writing this book as well. So I'm here, my intention here is to make you aware of what this energy holds. And if you are someone like me who is probably ignorant, who's probably terrified or a little hesitant to invoke this energy, maybe this can just give you that inspiration, that understanding of what the word Kali truly signifies. So I'll start by taking you all to my childhood, so that you are aware of where I started my journey with Kali. So as a child, I've always been very intuitive, seeing things in dreams, making statements that would randomly come true. This was very common for me. But because I grew up in a very spiritual family, my parents were of a very spiritual mindset, I didn't see this as something very different. And I didn't think of this being making me very spiritual or special in any way. This was a very normal thing for me. And as I grew, I understood that the world actually doesn't work that way. And there is something different in the way I think, I operate. And I have always believed that there is a force, that an invisible force that is working with me. I don't know where that belief came from, but that has always been my belief. So this happened when I was around 8 years old. My father was in army. So we were very used to moving cities. And we had just been posted to one of the city, a small city, I think near Mumbai. And we went to this temple. Now, it wasn't a very huge temple, it was a small temple, but I don't know how I wandered my way off and got away from my family. And there was this, a little room at my back. Something about it was pulling me. So I turned in and I sneaked in. It was like a little shrine. And there I saw the idol of Kali. And as I saw her, I shrieked. I was so terrified. I shrieked and I ran out of that shrine. And every time we went to that temple, I would always just look at that room and I would just go and give it a little small peek because there was something that was pulling me. And yet I would just give it a peek and, kind of tease her and say, I'm not going to come in. And in reply, I always felt that she was just laughing with a lot of love, smiling with love and telling me, but darling, you're going to come to me one day. As I grew up, this force, this sense, this pull remained with me. And but something happened at the age of 20, which became my trigger for inner transformation. So this happened when I was 20-year-old. About 20-year-old, I was working in an ad agency. I was a graphic designer there. And my parents used to go for an early morning walk. So they would just lock the door and move. I don't know how many of you have experienced sleep paralysis. It's a very nasty experience to have. If you have, I would love to hear more about it. But that started happening to me every time my parents would move out, would go for a morning walk. I somehow, I don't know how, went into an alternate reality. So I would see the room around me, but I would start hearing noises, screams, very unpleasant chatters. And though I was not awake, I was not sleeping as well. I could see the same room, but there were some energies around me. And obviously that experience was very fearful. I was very scared. What's going on? Now, sleep paralysis, if anyone has gone through it, happens once in months or some years, maybe. But this experience stayed with me for a week until I got so annoyed of it, literally annoyed because I was not able to work, and it made me really scared. So I went to my parents' room, and there was a little corner, a meditation corner, and there was an idol, there was a little statue of Shakti. And Shakti is a goddess of power, and it's a brass idol. It was quite heavy, and I don't know why I was drawn to it, but I got it with me and placed it by my bedside. And I told her, I said, I don't know what you do, but you have to do something. I don't want to wake up hearing those noises again. In my own innocence, I had spiritually surrendered my fear to that power. Next morning, when I woke up, certainly I felt an energy, but this time, this energy was not unpleasant. It was, in fact, very peaceful. I turned back and I saw that this idol had actually manifested itself in form of a woman. And there was this this lady woman who was lying there, and she had long black hair and wearing a black attire. Instantly in my mind, I knew this was Kali. But because I was always in denial, that I didn't want to accept her as my spiritual guide, as someone who has been with me, that's the force that always walks with me. I told her, come to me like Shakti, don't come to me like Kali. And instantly she had the same smile, which I had felt when I was younger in that temple. And she smiled and she turned and she wore red. If you've seen Durga Shakti, she wears red clothes. So this form, this energy is there lying down. And my first thought obviously was, am I dead? Because I could see myself, my body was lying down, but I was awake and I was sitting up. So my first thought was, am I dead? What's going on here? But I was not scared. I clearly remember that there was no fear within me. And this form, Kali, she said that, no, you're not, but I want you to ask for a boon. Now, what do you ask suddenly if someone tells you, ask for something? You never prepared, but perhaps my soul was. Perhaps my soul knew what I wanted. And I said, and this conversation was happening in mind. It wasn't something that we humans are used to doing. I was saying something. And my soul said that, just grant me this boon of that I should always make the right choice in life. And I think that was the best thing that one can ask for. So in my own whatever state of spiritual ecstasy I was, I asked for the right thing. After that event, even though that Kali had manifested in front of me in form of a woman, in that feminine form, I was still in denial of it. This happened about 17 years back, and I still didn't tell anyone about it, stayed in denial. Fast forward, I come to London, and though everything was going perfectly fine, but because I had lived a larger part of my life in denial, there was a lot of uneasiness within me. Every venture that I was trying was not working. Every spiritual mentor that I was going to would just leave from my life. Was being misunderstood. My family was always there with me. My husband, my daughter were there, but there was still something that was not going right. There were a lot of frustration within me. And 5 years back, with the same spiritual surrender that I had done years back, I embraced. Finally, I said, Kali, I embraced you. I'm ready to come out of my ignorance and just just guide me. That was my surrender 5 years back. And again, I saw her in my dream. And then from there, I initiated my actual spiritual soul's journey. I started to read about her. I started to understand her, started to meditate upon her without fear. And what has transpired in those 5 years has been nothing but beautiful. So, this was my journey from ignorance to coming to a point where I learned to love her. But why Kali? Why is Kali the energy of transformation? The essence of Kali is empowerment. An empowered mindset is one that will help you invoke your inner transformation. But why her? So let's understand what transformation really means. When something transforms, what it really means is that there is no residue of it, of the past in its new state. For example, if a caterpillar transforms to a butterfly, looking at the butterfly, you will never see a caterpillar. The butterfly will operate in a completely new way than the caterpillar. So when you're talking about inner transformation, if you're here for inner transformation, you have to be prepared to go through that process and come out as a completely new person with a complete new perspective. Yeah. And obviously, that's not going to be something that's going to take place very easily. Change always has some residue of the past. When seasons change, the landscape still remains the same. So when there is change brings modification, but when there is extreme modification, we say it's transformation. Now, everything around us is changing. We are changing, in fact. I mean, what you were years back, maybe you are not that person today. Everything that is in sync with nature naturally changes. This is why we don't find it very different to look at ourselves when we were babies and what we are today. We don't see any. It doesn't really make us surprise us because it's a very natural process. It's something that's going in sync with nature. As humans, our innate nature is to be happy. Think about this. When you're happy, you're not worried about why you're happy. You're not anxious about why you're happy. You're just there and you're feeling good. So our inner nature is always to be happy. When we are talking about inner transformation, we are thinking about our inner nature. When some events happen that which deviate us from this inner nature, something happens that makes us angry, maybe there is jealousy, maybe there is ego. Sometimes we all go through that, we all go through mood swings, and we find it that we are able to come back, but there are times when we are not able to come back, when we go so far into that depth of darkness, that negativity, that there is no way back home. That's when Kali helps us. That force that brings you back in an instant, with an instant expansion in you, brings you back with an awakening, instant awakening, and opens your perspective completely. That force that comes in your life when you deviate from your natural self, that empowering force is Kali. That force could come in your life when you read a book. It could even be this webinar, this workshop. It could be when you have met a guru, an enlightened person, or sometimes it can be a very unpleasant event in your life. We went through COVID last year. How many of us saw suffering very closely and realized that what life really is about? We started questioning our own self because COVID came like that force for inner transformation. We are talking about that force. But why Kali? The question still remains, why her? Why just her? At this point, it might be better that we understand her physical form, just briefly. Because if you look at my journey, I was ignorant of her physical form. I was scared of her physical form, fearful of that. And that led me to delay my whole spiritual journey. It's only when I accepted her in her totality, I could create that transformation in our life. So I'm just going to very quickly share with you one screen so that you're able to see, for people who are unaware of her physical form. So the word Kali first appeared in Atharva Veda. We have 4 Vedas. She appeared in Atharva Veda, which is a collection of hymns and mantras. Mantras were sound that were revealed to illuminated masters in a state of trance. And the word Kali has a root word Kal, which is a combination of time and space. Now, in human form, we are limited by just 2 things, time and space. Either I'm here or I'm there. Either I'm here at this time or at that time. But Kali is a force that is beyond time and space. It's all prevalent. So we'll just see 3 aspects of her which are going to help us understand the next part of our workshop, which is how to invoke our inner warrior. The first look when you see her, yes, it is terrifying. But if you look very closely, she has 4 hands. There are 4 hands here. 2 are in a position of blessing. 2 on, and 2 are in a position of warrior. There is a severed head and there is a sword, blood sword. This represents that Kali is a force that will banish or cut your illusion of ego, your pride, and that she will do with love, with blessings, not with anger. So she's blessing you. She's coming to you when your life needs healing, when you need healing. That's the force you're calling upon. There is power and there is love. There is breaking, destruction of illusion, ego, pride, and there is creation of a new life based on healing. You will also see that she's wearing a garland of 52 skulls. These 52 skulls represent the 52 alphabets of the word of Sanskrit language. Sanskrit, as you all know, is a language of sound. It's a vibrational, transformative language. The more we speak it, the more we create the vibrations that create inner transformation. So Kali holds that. They can be two representations, spiritual significance of this, that she holds that power to create the right vibrations within you, to give you the right words in your mind, so that when you speak those words, you will be able to create the vibrations. And she also holds the power to relieve you of all your karmic bonds. That's another significance of it. And the third we'll see is her dark color. That represents that she's not fearful of going into the dark side within us. So she's giving us the ability to move and maneuver, navigate within our dark, um, fears that we hold, the memories that we hold, and bring some light out of it. So if you've had us look at it, we'll stop sharing and we'll work ahead. So now that you know what her form looks like, now that you know her energy looks like, you have to understand that when you invoke this energy of Kali, you are giving yourself the ability to face every event without fear, with truth, with wisdom, with love, and with lots of energy, opening yourself to lots of possibilities. We will move on to the next part where we'll talk about the techniques, the 3 steps that are needed to invoke this inner warrior. But if anyone has anything to say, feel free to speak, say it through chat, or if you want to grab a glass of water, because that the next part is going to be a little more intensive, a little more inward. And I would also recommend that you all have a little pen and paper here. Not that we're going to be writing too much, but maybe you want to make some small notes at this point. So if you all are ready, then we can just move on. So the essence of Kali is transformation, empowerment. Empowerment can happen when we are an established empowered mindset can create inner transformation. But for that, we need to invoke our own inner warrior. The first step that you need to take is to initiate a will to transform. How many times are we live in denial of this, knowing that we need to transform, of this understanding that there is something wrong. Now, there is an analogy that I've given in my book, and that is called the Kali moment, which happens when there is a door. You can think of this way. Maybe it will help you understand it. There is a door that's always knocking. You can always hear that knock on that door, and that knock is of your inner voice telling you that something is not right. I could hear that knock throughout my life, and I was completely not looking at that door. This something doesn't have to mean that there has to be a very traumatic event in your life to actually feel it. You might just be feeling uneasy. Everything might just be going perfectly wrong. You have a perfect family, perfect job, but something doesn't feel right within you. That something that's not feeling right within you is the area in your life that's asking for attention. Now, when you tap into the power of Kali, the first thing she will do is she'll open your intuitive level. So you've got to be more perceptive, more intuitive, and try to see what's not going right. Tap into your intuition. Because when we live in denial, say you're in a toxic relationship and you live and you know that something is not right about it. Maybe it's something that you're scared of. Maybe perhaps you think that you don't deserve to live a better life. Or perhaps you're thinking that nothing can go better, nothing can become better. This is how it's going to be forever. That's a belief that you have established within yourself. The power of Kali will give you the energy to break that belief by trusting your intuition. And sometimes that's needed. That trusting your intuition is needed to open the possibilities of change, because we restrict ourselves to change, to new uh, possibilities, just because we think that nothing is going to work. So, this door that is knocking, this sound of it, be aware of how loud that sound is becoming, where that sound is coming from. So, if you have a paper with you and pen with you, just write down the areas in your life that maybe the topmost, the first thing that's coming in your mind that you think needs a change, something where you are not happy. Remember that anything that is deviating us from our true nature is happiness. Anything that's deviating us from our true nature is not, is an area that needs attention. So just make a small note of what that would be. It's relationship, work, maybe yourself. Every choice that we make has the power to change our destiny. If you are going to choose to transform today, you're going to open yourself to a completely new possibility of change. So when I embrace this energy of Kali, I started this inward journey. I started listening to my intuition more, understanding more. I started to feel detached from the world. So, this is, if you have probably done that, you probably feel a little detached from the world, a little away from the world. You don't feel like you're one of their, you feel something's not right. I'm maybe a misfit in this world. And that's okay to feel that way, because that's what you will feel when you start to understand that there is a need to change. You start to move from denial to truth. This is what you will feel. So, when I started doing that, um, I remember I was just driving and there was this radio that was playing. And there was some kind of gossip that was going on, they were saying on the radio. And that annoyed me, irritated me so much that I parked my car and I called the studio and I told them, why would you share so much gossip when there is so much more inspiration to share, when your radio can become a medium to inspire? Why would you just talk about stuff that's not serving anyone any good? And I just called. I just trusted my intuition and made that call without thinking what's going to happen next. And I immediately, this man from this other side said, would you like to come and give us an audition for the radio and maybe start your inspirational show? I said, really? I turned my car, immediately went there to the studio, gave an audition, and within a month of training, I had my own radio show, um, Positive Living radio show, which I did for 3 hours every week. Now, had I not made that call, had I not listened to that annoying, that uneasiness that I was feeling, had I not listened to that intuition that was telling me to do this, I would have not initiated the series of events that would have to happen, that were waiting to happen just after I chose this right path. So the force of Kali will give you the insight to make that decision that will initiate those series of transformation in your life. Because while doing that radio show, I learned so much about myself. So the more I studied, the more I learned. So you have to be very aware of these small signs, small knocking, small, you know, symbols that you can see. So if you have been, the question that I asked you earlier, what has prompted you to come to this webinar? Maybe that was your calling. It's not by chance that we all are here. Maybe that was your calling to initiate that thing. And we also have to remember that we can have the world's knowledge around us. We can buy whatever books we want. But unless we are able to apply that knowledge in our life, those books are a complete waste. You have to be your own guru and initiate that transformation in your life. In this is the time to be your own guru. So the first step is probably not the most difficult, but it's difficult in the sense that not many of us are able to go from denial to truth. So the first step is being aware that you need to transform something in life, being aware of the areas that need your attention. What comes next? The second step is probably the most difficult one. Difficult because it requires a lot of courage. The second step is discovering your truth and expressing your truth. I found it for myself the most difficult hurdle to cross. But I can assure you, once you cross this hurdle, the rest are just flow. The rest just flow. This is probably the most, the step that can sometimes take months. For me, it took about 5 months for me to overcome this one. Why? Because truth is brutal. Truth is also very simple. Truth is also something that can liberate us. But how many times do we say that? So how many times do we understand the truth the way it is? We are used to creating stories around what's the core truth. If you are feeling unloved in your relationship, you will end up creating stories about my partner doesn't give me time. My partner is uncaring. My children are not, listening to me. No one really listens to me. I don't have a choice. I don't have the free will to make a choice. You have started creating these stories of self pity where you have victimized yourself. That's what we all do. We create so many layers of wrong information that somewhere the simple truth of what the real problem is just disappears. Now you have taken the first step. You have understood that this is the area that needs your attention. Now look at that area and go deeper into it. Bring the focus to yourself, not the other person. You are feeling unloved in a relationship. Bring the focus to yourself. Why? What is it that you need? When did you start realizing that you're not feeling love? When did you start when did you stop loving yourself? Is the root of this problem some episode in your childhood? Or maybe something has transpired in your youth and at some point in your life which that memory has been shoved under the carpet. So you will need to go deep into yourself and ask yourself, am I expressing my desires with love or with anger? Because when we are in an argument, we just say that I'm not getting this. But you have to understand and be brutal to yourself. Have I expressed my choices? If I'm feeling neglected, have I neglected my choices? What is it that I want? Am I being lazy in my own understanding of myself? So go deeper and deeper and deeper as much as you can. Tread into those fears, tread into your own weaknesses, because it's in the depth of that darkness where you're going to find that one light, one tiny beam of light, which can then become your guiding light and lead you towards life that's meant for you. Remember Kali, her dark color. Remember how she's the force that's going to give you that energy to tread deeper and go into the darkest corners of your soul. There are many lies that we tell about ourselves. Talking about, let's talk about relationship again. if you're feeling unloved, and you're thinking that yes, you understand that you haven't given yourself priorities, have you created a story that if I start, maybe I should start working, but I didn't do this because I my husband wouldn't support me. These are the stories that you've created. Go deeper into that truth. Have you expressed that with love, with conviction? Sometimes we know the truth, but we don't express it with conviction. We express it with fear. The force of Kali doesn't work with fear, it works with that conviction, that knowing that this is what you really want. So this second step becomes really important because here you have to find what your true assets are, who you really are. What are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? What is it that you really want? You're feeling unloved, you're feeling lonely, but where is the root of it? What is the root cause of it? Go and live that fear. Live that experience once, because you have to exhaust it. Don't live it to feel the pain again, live it to exhaust it. And because you're taking support of Kali, she will eliminate it. Once you have faced that, you have this fear, she will help you eliminate it. So again, coming back to me, when I started my spiritual journey, I met a lot of spiritual masters, a lot of spiritual mentors, and somehow each one of them ended up just abruptly going away from my life. And that was very confusing for me, very confusing. But in reality, confusion is not absence of clarity. Confusion is denial of truth. I was denying myself of the truth, and I was getting confused of who I really am. I was thinking, am I even meant to be spiritual? Am I even meant to tread into this path at all? And I created a story saying that all spiritual gurus are fake. There is nothing like this. Everyone is fake. Everyone is cheating you. That was my story, born out of my own hurt. But once I started to discover myself, I understood. I went deeper and deeper and deeper within myself. I understood that actually it was my weakness, that I was clinging on to that person and not the learning. I had to let the teacher go after the learning had come to me. It was my own emotional dependency on that spiritual mentor that was restricting me and creating this pain, the circle of pain in my life. And once I understood that, I also understood that in reality, all I really want is to learn. And if that learning can come, and if that learning has happened, I must also gracefully let that teacher go. And as I learned that, there were so many more teachers that came in my life, and I learned my lessons. I also learned to let them go. So it was not easy. It's not easy to accept your fears, accept your weaknesses, because you'll be like to be in that self-pity mode. But it's essential to do this step so you come out as not as a victim, not as someone who's been always creating excuses for change. You actually do mean to create that change. The third step, now that you have recognized what is the area that needs attention, you have understood your truth, you've understood what are your weaknesses, your fears, and what is the deepest, you've peeled it and you've brought it to a seed. From that seed, now you will give birth to a new life. The third step is expanding your wisdom and becoming a student of life. Now, this step is the most magical step in the whole process. There are 10 steps written in my book of this journey of inner transformation. And I'm just taking you through the first three steps because I believe it is the third step when you have actually managed to invoke your inner warrior and establish an empowered mindset. The third step for me has been extremely magical. It's when you start looking at every event in life as a learning and you start asking the right question. You don't question why something has happened. You question what is there for me to learn here. And that, I believe, is life changing. It completely changes your perspective, completely changes the way you look at relationship, the way you look at yourself too. Everything, every element of nature, every element of this universe becomes your teacher. Every small to big event becomes your teacher and your learning. You learn to expand on what you focus on. You learn to expand on your strengths. And amazingly, when this happens, this is when you start receiving messages. You start receiving messages from other world, because remember, we are talking about um, Kali, and her energy is an energy that comes with love. Kali taps into the feminine dimension within us. This doesn't mean that she only speaks to women. We all have masculine and feminine energy within us. Now, the masculine, it focuses on creation. It focuses, it's very logical, if I can just put it in a very simpler way. The feminine gives that logical larger meaning, a nurturing meaning, or brings more compassion to it. So if you have a business, the masculine side of you will plan the business, will focus on the logical steps that are needed to take that business forward. Whereas the feminine dimension within you will give you a higher reason to do this, bring more love and wisdom and more healing. That work will become a process of healing for you. Now, because Kali is a transformative energy, and transformation can sometimes bring a lot of anger, especially in your, especially when you're discovering your truth. Because when you're discovering your truth, you go back to every event that has hurt you, and there will be a lot of anger. You'll feel very humiliated. You'll feel very angry on why and certain things happen, why certain people said such hurtful things to you. You'll go and tread into the memories that you don't want to. So that anger will come. The feminine quality of Kali will allow that anger to transform into healing. See, she will give you that much love. Also, she will also raise your level of compassion and wisdom, so you're able to look at those events and not be angry at yourself. You're able to look at those events and with a higher dimension of wisdom. So when we are talking about expanding your wisdom, the third step that we have come into, where you become student of life, you come to a learning that every event in your life is actually a circle of healing. Every good to big event, everything starts happening because you need to be healed. You will start meeting the right people who will give you the right message, and you won't, there will be no logic that can, you know, make you understand how this happened. Magic starts to happen. So if I was able to tap into myself, and if I'm able to see things in my dream, that doesn't make me any special. It's something that we all have. And this is something that I have written in my book, that don't think that this ability to connect to the higher dimension is only restricted to certain people who are probably ahead in their spiritual journey. We all are in the same level. We all are highly enlightened spiritual beings. Some of us have forgotten, and some of us remember. The force of Kali will allow you to um, get a kick start in that spiritual journey. If you're feeling that stall in your life, she will give you that power to move ahead. And these miracles, these things will naturally start to happen. Dreams will become messages from another dimension, and you'll be amazed at how. You ask for a question, answers will start coming to you. This was probably the time when I started writing this book. I don't know how, but every time the words that was supposed to come to me, um, they would come with such force, such magnitude that whatever I was doing, I had to stop doing it. I had to start writing the words. It's only because I, just by connecting myself and becoming that student of life, being aware that every event in my life is here to heal me, acknowledging that, I opened myself to universe and I became a student of life, of the universe. I It helped me connect with masters of another dimension. There were so many messages that came from my past life. I saw my past life. Kali has, there were visions of Kali taking me to some lifetime where something that was happening in this lifetime, the pain, I saw the root cause of that pain there, and it helped me eradicate it. So to just reinforce this to you, because this is the most magical step, and I don't want you to think that this can't really happen to you. This will start happening to you. So just, if you just go back and see the 3 steps that you need to do to invoke your inner warrior, first is to have more awareness, to create that awareness and initiate a will to transform. Initiate that will to transform by looking at the areas and acknowledging that, moving from denial to truth, from acceptance. Second is accepting the truth about yourself and learning to express that truth, accepting your own fears and learning to express that truth and coming to the truth, just the truth, not the stories around it. Trying to discover what is the core truth of what you are feeling today. I hope you have got that step right, because that's really, really important. And if we have any questions, of course, we'll open up for questions in the next 2 minutes. The third step is expanding your vision and asking the right question. That is, what is there for me to learn? Being more receptive to universe of the messages that you're getting. Being more open to the possibilities that would open up. And connecting to your core self. So every time you have felt that you are moving to away from your core nature, that is happiness, that is the time you need transformation. And just by meditating on this energy of Kali and initiating her in your life, you are inviting a complete transformation. And I just want to remind you that this force of Kali doesn't work with your convenience. She will go to those every memory that you may have just hidden somewhere in your subconscious mind, and she will cleanse you completely. So it's a very emotional journey, very turbulent journey, but it's a beautiful, blissful journey full of love and compassion. And remember, every transformation, that everything that you change around you will be done with the intention of healing you. You become the center point of everything, because we're talking about our transformation, not the world. So everything starts happening inwardly. So that's what Kali does to you. There are many more steps. There are about 10 steps in this book, The Voice of Kali. Everything that I have written in this book is something that I've experienced firsthand, because my journey was accelerated, because I think I delayed my journey. So the universe had to really, really do it very fast. And I went through a turbulent journey. But I've experienced every written word in this book. The words are very concise. It's almost like mantra, because remember, I received these words in my own meditative state. So as you read the book, you will start feeling a change in you. I have a website. My website is thekalimovement.com. If you go there, you will be able to download the first chapter of this book. Read that book, read that first chapter. If you feel that that is the energy, that is the trigger you need to initiate your inner transformation or invoke your inner warrior, then go ahead and buy the book. That's up to you. But I would recommend you to at least read the first chapter, because that will give you an idea. There are also some warrior stories of some people who've shared what they have gone through in their own inner transformation and how they have found solution in their life. Go do read them as well. And there's lots of there are a lot of articles. Something that I've spoken today might have not made sense to you today, but once you read them, you will be able to understand them more. So I can now take some questions. If there is someone who would like to share some, please do. What is the core truth? Sometimes the stories you have of yourself are so loud and critical that you believe that the stories are the truth. The core truth, okay, interesting enough. The truth is always very simple. If you are, let's say you want to, let's say your relationship, again, coming back to relationship, I'm coming back there again. Let's say your relationship is not working. You're not feeling that you're getting that respect in it, right? That is the truth, that you're not getting the respect in it. But you start putting all the focus on the other person. You will tell your partner, you don't give me respect, you don't take care of me, you don't really worry about me, you don't really understand me. Everything goes to the other person. We start to come in that place where we start blaming the other person so much that we forget that we are talking about our transformation. You are the brand that you need to build up. If you look at yourself as a brand, unless you know what your assets are, what are your core values, what's your core strength or your core weakness, how will you build up on something that's in your life? If we keep focusing on the other person's weaknesses, our energy is wasted in just analyzing someone else. There is nothing that's happening to us. There will be some minor shift, but we keep coming back to that circle of pain. To come out and to break the circle of pain, you have to go and understand your own limitations. Have you respected yourself? Are you respecting your choices? Are you respecting your time? And if you are not respecting that, if you think that your family has taken you for granted, have you expressed that with love, with conviction, without fear? Sometimes we don't express. We are fearful. We are fearful that this will break my relationship. We are fearful that this will hurt the other person. When you tap this energy of Kali, the first thing she does is she gives you a lot of compassion. So you have to be able to understand that you have to speak the truth, express the truth, but with love. It's your truth. That is your core truth. How long does it take for Kali to clean you fully? How long does it take? It can take years. It can take months. It might just take just minutes. It depends on your choice. It depends how far you're ready to go. Because that force is going to be, it requires a lot of inner work, a lot of understanding, and that ability to say the truth, to heal, to forgive, and to let go of what's not working for you. So again, coming back to that truth, whatever is not true, you have to break that illusion. You have to just let it go, just peel it off. So that requires a lot of effort. So I think that is the only step where you'll be mostly stuck for a long time, because we are not ready to break the illusions that we have built ourselves. We think that we are, surrounded by the best people. I have the best of friends, and yet you're not happy. Something is missing inside you. So you have to bring everything to a place of void. Void is the place from where something new begins. So you have to nullify everything that you know, everything that you think you know, and start building brick by brick on the basis of what is the truth. Whatever is not the truth is not yours. What is your truth? Who are you? So you might be a mother, you might be, a daughter, your sister, but at the core, who are really you? Are you a healer? Are you a nurturer? Are you a creator? What's your core identity? That's what you need to find. So that depends on how much work you are able to, you're ready to do on yourself. So it took me about 6 months, but it was interesting. It was a very interesting journey. I met my spiritual masters from many past lives. Swami Vivekananda is my spiritual master. I saw a lifetime with him. So it just opens you just open a magic door and everything starts, the answers just start coming, but just stay with me and, pass that second step. Will you send us your website? Okay, yeah, my website. If I can just type it here, maybe. Yeah, it's thekalimovement.com. You will find a link of the book and more. And I'll also be taking more transformational workshops in coming months. You will find all that information. I have been stuck too long. You've been stuck too long. Is that a story you've created, or is that your truth? Who you have to come again, break it down. Why do you think you're stuck too long? Who has created that boundary? Have you created that boundary on your own? Is it an illusion for yourself that you've created because you're fearful of something? So that's something that you have to go for. I just want to also share a very beautiful vision that I had when I started tapping into the other world and masters of other dimensions started coming. So I saw this saint, a guru. I don't know, maybe from some lifetime, and there was this lake of water, and I was standing on the bank, and that saintly figure was telling me to walk on the water. And I said, no, how can I do that? If I walk, I will fall. There was fear in me. And I think at that time I was facing this own fear. I had my own fears, that of being judged. That's why my ventures were not working. And because I had to overcome that fear of being judged of not coming out the way I am, just restricting my energies. I think that's why this energy connected to me through dreams. So this guru, the saint, said that walk on lake, and I refused. And he said that if you believe that you can walk on that lake, you will. If you don't, you will not. And it's such a profound message. If we believe we are able to do something, we will do it. I took that message on board and I saw myself walking on lake, and I was so excited, so happy that I'm able to do this. Metaphorically, it was helping me break my own wall that I had created around myself. It was a metaphor for that. But the moment I realized in my dream that I'm walking on lake, I realized the reality of it stuck to me, and I came to my human form and I limited beliefs that we can't walk on lake and it's not right. I fell, and that the last thing I heard as I woke up was, "Fear is just an illusion. Break it." Waking up from that dream, I realized how I had created an illusion of fear around me, and only I held the key to break it. So I told myself I can actually, do this. There, it's just an illusion. So that line has stayed with me. So I hope that dream has helped you find some answer. Thank you so much for your session. Thank you for coming to me, and I hope that this book can give you if you all want to see the book again, can bring some change in your life. How do you really embody your Kali spirit when you are in workplace and find yourself submissive? Now, again, you find yourself submissive is a truth, a story that you are telling yourself. Where is the root of it? Certainly, if you feel submissive, at some point you have felt authoritative as well, right? If you are feeling unloved, at some point you have felt loved, and that has given you the ability to differentiate between love and not love, submissive, being submissive and being authoritative. Go back to your memory of when you felt, of that moment, of some episode in your, some event in your life when you held that authority. It could be at home with your children. It could be anywhere. Maybe some event in your past, in your childhood. What was your feeling then? That person was also you. Don't forget that. Sometimes we stick to a truth, a momentary thing that has happened to us, and we stick to that and we make it our core truth. We may have failed once while speaking on stage, and we make it our core truth that I have stage fright. Maybe that is not your core truth. Maybe that is just a momentary, but you need to find out what was the root. So coming back to being submissive, find out, go to that event when you felt that you had taken a courageous decision, or shown some courage. What was your feeling? What was your strength then? Expand on that. Don't expand on this knowing that you are submissive. This is a knowing that this is something that you are affirming. Expand on that, that you have the power, you have the courage to speak too. But speak your truth without fear. That is the core of Kali. No fear. Remember that fear is an illusion that we tell ourselves. Okay. Um, Do you believe that there is an end to the journey, or does it never really end, but the tools help to deal with it quicker? I, which into what journey? Is that a journey of being of pain? Are you talking about? If you're talking about that journey, definitely. So I have only told you 3 steps. The last step of this thing is that in reality we don't need transformation, because we are already our most empowered self. Kali is our most empowered mindset, and we just need to open ourselves to understand that, to work with that mindset, to make choices and decisions based on that mindset. We are already very, very powerful. We just don't realize that. So by the last step, you will see that it's all about merging into and becoming Kali. And there is no difference between you and Kali. And you are that person. Remember that. Um, Thank you, thank you, thank you. So I will probably end it now. I've taken your 1 hour. Thank you so much for staying with me. If you have any questions that I have not been able to answer, because there are many coming here and I'm not able to read all of them, please feel free to contact me, send me an email. My website, I have put it on the chat. So it's, again, if someone missed it, it's thekalimoment.com. And there is a link to there, so you can just read more about me, and there's a link to contact me. My email is thevoiceofkali@gmail.com. So feel free to post any questions, ask anything. If you are in this transformative journey and you're confused about Kali, or there is any confusion, any question, any query that you have, please do contact me. I would love to connect with you all. If you would like to share some experience, please do that. It always helps me learn more about it. Remember, we all are students. I'm still a student of life, and I'm learning every day from everyone I meet. So that learning has never stopped. So maybe if one of you is my teacher here, all of you are my teachers here. So I'll learn something from you. And there'll also be some dates of the next transformative workshop, masterclass. It's happening in July. So I'll keep posting that too. And if you subscribe to the blog, then you will get weekly updates. Do read the articles there. They're pretty much everything that I've just told you is there. So thank you so much, and for joining me. It was lovely to have you all, and I hope I've been able to give you something to take back and initiate that inner transformation, some thought of positiveness that can bring a shift. Thank you. Goodbye and good night. Thank you. to everyone.